Today, I am discussing the multiple choice questions appeared in Physiology Paper-1 of Dr. YSR University of Health Sciences. The examination was held on 11th of December 2023. And these multiple choice questions were taken from set D of Physiology Paper-1. Question number 1. Red blood cell membrane is maintained by A. Elastin, B. Spectrin, C. Laminin, D. Collagen. The answer is Spectrin. In the bottom, I have mentioned the reference. Elastin, laminin, and collagen are not participating in the red cell membrane. Question number 2. Indicator used to measure plasma volume is A. D2O, B. Insulin, C. Evans blue, D. Radioactive iodine. D2O used for total body water. Insulin, it must be inulin, but it's not a correct choice there. Radioactive sodium is for the extracellular fluid. And Evans blue is the one which binds to the albumin, plasma albumin. And this is what being used for the plasma volume estimation. The correct answer is the Evans blue, C. Evans blue. Question number 3. The transport of proteins and polypeptides in some of the nerves to the axonal ending is called A. Transcytosis, B. Exocytosis, C. Retrograde transport, D. Exoplasmic flow. Transcytosis is across the cell membrane. Exocytosis is from once it is the release of substance from a cell to outside to the extracellular fluid. Retrograde transport is from the axonal ending to the cytone or the cell body. So therefore, exoplasmic flow is the right answer. The answer is the exoplasmic flow. You can see the reference Ganong 82. Question number 4. White blood cells are attracted to inflamed tissue areas by A. Chemotaxis, B. Diffusion, C. phagocytosis, D. pinocytosis. Diffusion is a process of distribution of various ions and substances in the fluid. Pinocytosis is a cell drinking, phagocytosis is a cell eating, and the answer is chemotaxis because it is the attraction by the inflammatory substances which pulls the leukocytes to the site of inflammation. The correct answer is A. Chemotaxis. Question number 5. Hyperkalemia produces widening of QRS complexes, fusion of QRS complexes and T-wave, narrowing of QRS complexes, prolongation of QT interval. The correct answer is widening of QRS complexes. It's not fusion, or it is not narrowing, or it is not prolongation of QT interval. Hence, the correct response is the widening of QRS complexes. You can refer this thing to Ganong page 504. Question number 6. The A wave of jugular venous pulse tracing is A. Atrial diastole, B. Atrial systole, C. Ventricular diastole, D. Ventricular systole. The correct answer is the atrial systole because A wave corresponds with the back pressure because of the atrial contraction, the venous back flow that produces this wave. You can see it in the Ganong page 512. Question number 7, iron deficiency anemia is A, normocytic normochromic, B, macrocytic hypochromic, C, microcytic hypochromic, D, normocytic normochromic. Iron deficiency anemia produces the small cells and which are pale or which are having less pigment. So the answer is C, microcytic hypochromic anemia. You get this reference in any of the textbooks. Question number 8. Increase in heart rate following an increase in atrial pressure is called as A, brain bridge reflex. I am reading as it has appeared in the question paper. Brain bridge reflex. B, volume reflex. C, Cushing's reflex. D, baroreceptor reflex. There is no word or there is no reflex like a brain bridge reflex. It must be brain bridge, B-A-I-N-B-R-I-D-G-E, brain bridge reflex, not the brain bridge reflex. So this question does have a problem. I can just read out some of these contents. I have taken it from Ganong and Guyton. The stretch receptors are in the atria are of two types. They are type A. Those that discharge primarily during atrial systole are type A, and those discharge primarily late diastole where the atrial filling is taking place at the time of peak atrial filling, type B receptors. The discharge of type B receptors of the atrium increased when venous return is increased. If the venous return is increased, the atrial volume is increased. If the atrial volume is increased, that it stretches the atrial muscles. That distends the atrial walls. So now, because of the distance of the atrial walls, so it will increase the rate. The reflex circulatory adjustment initiated by increased discharge from most, if not all of these receptors include vasodilatation and fall in blood pressure. However, heart rate is increased rather than decreased. So we can refer to Ganong page 561 and Guyton page 123. Thus, increased atrial volume increases the stretch, activates type B receptors, and increases the rate. I will read it from the Guyton page. In addition to the important effect of lengthening of the heart muscle, another factor increases the heart pumping when its volume is increased. A stretch of the right atrial wall directly increases the heart rate by 10 to 20%, which also increases the amount of blood pumped each minute. Although its contribution is much less than that of the Frank-Starling mechanism. As discussed in chapter 18, stretch from the atrium also activates stretch receptors and nervous reflex. The Bain bridge reflex, now you can see the Bain bridge, I have written correctly here, that is transmitted by vagus nerve and may increase the heart rate. Now you can see the same thing here in this flow chart. Increased blood volume increases the venous return to the atria, produces the atrial stretch, and the atrial stretch activates the Bain bridge reflex and increases the heart rate. Thus, one increase in heart rate following an increase in atrial pressure is called, both may be correct. A Bain bridge reflex is not correct. It is not brain bridge reflex. Brain bridge reflex is not a correct response. Hence, I would not give it's correct as a correct response. B, volume reflex. Volume reflex, okay, it may be considered because it increases the atrial volume and produces the atrial stretch. So therefore, it has two options. The responses are confusing. This can be disputed. Question number 9, Wind-Kissel effect is seen in A, aorta, B, inferior vena cava, C, capillaries, D, lymphatics. The Wind-Kissel effect, it's a Wind-Kissel is a single word, it's not two words. It's a mechanical engineering term used for some pumps. So now this pump-like activity is seen in the great arteries like aorta. The remaining are not the arteries, that inferior vena cava, capillaries, and lymphatics. They do not have that much of the muscle activity. So the correct answer is the aorta, where Wind-Kissel effect is seen. Question number 10. Carbon dioxide is mainly transported as A, dissolved form, B, bicarbonate form, C, carbaminohemoglobin, D, carbaminoprotein. So dissolved form is only small, nearly 49 to 50 ml of carbon dioxide is transported. So in that, nearly about 2 ml may be in the dissolved form, and around 2 to 3 ml in the carbamino, and 2 to 3 ml in the carbaminohemoglobin, and 2 to 3 ml in the carbaminoprotein. More than 40 ml of the total carbon dioxide which is carried in the form of bicarbonate. So hence the correct response is the bicarbonate form, B, bicarbonate form. Question number 11. Third hear sound is due to. Please listen to the stem I'm reading. This is what is written in the question paper. I have not made any spelling mistakes here. I have written as verbatim as it is written in the question paper. The third hear sound is due to. There is nothing like a third hear sound. Hence the stem is wrong. The question is wrong. Therefore, the students can contest this. Now, if I consider it as heart sound, the third heart sound, if I consider, because I don't want to consider in the examination as a heart sound, because what is written is the thing which I read as a student. So third, it does not exist. However, even if you read it as a third heart sound, it should be A, option is closure of semilunar valves, B, arterial systole, C, atrioventricular valve closure, D, rapid filling of the ventricles. For the third heart sound, the correct response is rapid filling of ventricles. But there is no response for a third hear sound. So therefore, this question is wrongly typed, or it's wrong. It should be eliminated. Question number 12. The volume of air that remains in the lungs after normal expiration. A, functional residual capacity, B, vital capacity, C, residual volume, D, tidal volume. You see here the volumes and capacities. The volume of air that is present in the lung after normal expiration. This is normal expiration. This is the amount of volume of air. This is the volume of air. This is a functional residual capacity. Hence, the correct response is functional residual capacity. A, functional residual capacity. Question number 13. Respiratory centers which acts as an off switch point is A, apneustic center, B, pneumotaxic center, C, dorsal group of nervus. I'm reading, I've typed as they have typed, dorsal group of nervus, D, ventral group of nervus. There is nothing like dorsal group of nervus and ventral group of nervus. Anyway, it does not matter for us. So now, apneustic center, it continues the inspiration. The pneumotaxic center cuts off the inspiration. Hence, the switching off mechanism is done by the pneumotaxic center. That's the correct response. B, pneumotaxic center. However, there are spelling mistakes. It is a dorsal group of neurons and a ventral group of neurons. Question number 14. About 90% of the filtered glucose is reabsorbed in the early part of proximal tubule by SGLT1, B, SGLT2, C, GLUT, D, GLUT1. In renal tubule, the transporter present is SGLT2. Hence, the correct response is SGLT2. SGLT1 is present in the intestinal, these things. GLUT transporters are present in the elsewhere. The correct response is SGLT2. Ventilation perfusion ratio is A, low at the apex, high at the base. B, low at both apex and base. C, high at apex and low at base. D, high at both apex and base. If you are looking at here, you look at the apex here at the top, the ventilation is same. However, the capillaries are compressed. You can just see that capillaries are compressed and there is a less blood flow. The ventilation is same, 5 liters, and the less blood flow, the ratio is greater than 1. In case of the base, you have, maybe you take the 5 liters and the perfusion is greater, the ratio is less than 1. So now the correct response is high at apex, that's what I have shown, and low at base. You can refer to Ganong, page 599. Question number 16. Isothenuria. A, inability of kidney to concentrate urine normally. B, no urine discharge from the body. C, less urine discharge from the body. D, difficulty in passing urine. This term is less frequently used in standard textbooks. It does not exist in Ganong and Guyton. However, it may be present in some Indian authored books. If the student has not read the Indian authored book, he will be at a disadvantage. So this is not a commonly used term. The examiner should have thought over it and they could have given us a different set of questions. Anyway, coming back to the question, isothenuria is the condition to inability of the kidney to concentrate urine normally. That is the failure of the tubules to concentrate. The countercurrent mechanism in the tubular system to concentrate. It will remain as whatever is there in the plasma, whatever the osmolality of the plasma, that same specific gravity remains. That is what the meaning is. Isothenuria is, correct response is A, inability of kidney to concentrate urine. Question number 17. Normally, angle between anus and rectum is 15 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees. It is between the anorectal angle is between 60 to 110 degrees. Hence, the answer C is the appropriate response. That 90 degrees is the appropriate response. 90 degrees has been mentioned in Ganong. Answer is option C, 90 degrees. The rate of basal electric rhythm is BER is maximum in esophagus, duodenum, ileum, stomach. This ileum is again a spelling mistake. It must have been in ileum. If you are considering esophagus, the rate of BER is less. The ileum, it is less. Stomach, it is less. The maximum is in duodenum. So now, if you are looking at that, so the duodenum is the correct response. Now, the main attention diverter is the ileum. The student may get confused here, so they may even go for a challenge. The ileum is not a the word available in the medical literature. Question number 19. Destruction of sensory nerve fibers to bladder leads to A. Atonic bladder, B. Neurogenic bladder, C. Hypertonic bladder, D. Atopic bladder. There is no correct response is available because I read the following statement from Ganong, the paragraph from the Ganong, effects of deafferentiation. That means cutting the sensory nerve. When the sacral dorsal roots are cut in experimental animals or interrupted by diseases of the dorsal roots, such as stapes dorsalis in humans, all reflex contractions of the bladder are abolished. That's one. The bladder becomes distended, thin-walled, and hypotonic. But some contractions occur because of the intrinsic response of the smooth muscle to stretch. Therefore, the correct response is the hypotonic bladder, not the atonic bladder. In that condition, we have the correct atonic bladder is not a correct response. It must have been a hypotonic bladder. The examiner may have a certain opinion, but I would, as I have read in the Ganong page 662, it should be hypotonic bladder. So there is no correct response available for this question. Question number 20. Choleritics cause A. Contraction of gallbladder, B. Concentration of bile, C. Acidification of bile, D. Increased bile production. Choleritics are substances which increase the bile secretion or bile production from the liver. So therefore, the correct response, because the contraction of the gallbladder is done by these cholecystokinin, concentration of the bile is a function of the gallbladder. Acidification of bile is a different, that proton pumps and other things. So therefore, correct response is increased bile production. You can refer to Ganong 486. Thus, my references belong Ganong and Guyton. Ganong's I have taken 23rd edition, 2010. Guyton, textbook of physiology, 14th edition. This would be 2021. Hence, after discussing all these things, I have following comments to make. Question number 8 has 2 responses. Both A and B are correct. See my discussion of the question. Therefore, the benefits should be given to both. Question number 11, the stem is not correct. As I am telling, there is nothing like a third ear sound. The proofreaders must have read it properly and made it a third heart sound. Since they have not done it, third, there is no existence of a third ear sound in the medical literature. Hence, that question is wrong. Question number 16. The term isothenuria is not present in books like Ganong and Guyton. It may be present in Indian authored books. So benefit of doubt should be given to the students who are reading the Ganong and Guyton. The question number 19, no correct response is available. It should be hypotonic bladder, not atonic bladder after deafferentiation. Therefore, this is also not correct response. These 4 questions I find they can be challenged. They can be, the student should be helped for these questions. And the students should represent the matter to the university for their benefit. Thank you.